the products that I was surrounded with were all these amazing Middle Eastern foodstuffs that I grew up with. And it was the packaging of these foodstuffs that started to kind of really enter into my subconscious. Here at Art Basel Unlimited, I'm exhibiting an extension of a project that I began in 2007 called The Invisible Enemy Should Not Exist, which is a project that is ongoing. We've been reconstructing the 8,000 artifacts that are still missing from the National Museum of Iraq after it was looted in 2003. And the devastated archeological sites, items from those sites that were destroyed by ISIS in the aftermath of the war and up until recently in 2015, 2016. My goal is to reconstruct all the different rooms of the Northwest Palace of Nimrud. What we're sitting in right now is exactly the way that it would have looked in that year before it was destroyed. There was this agreement that this was devastating shared loss, that it wasn't simply a localized Iraqi loss, it was a loss for all of humanity. My grandfather's from a family of Iraqi Jews who all emigrated to the United States in the 1940s as nationalist programs in the Middle East. And so it was going to be my responsibility, to somehow try to rescue those stories, to avoid the vulgarity of Iraq being reduced to a place where one was only hearing about oil and war. Instead of it being a one-to-one ratio where I've been reconstructing the artifacts, say, out of limestone, it's instead out of these vulnerable materials like papier-mâché, which point to the cultural visibility of Arab communities in the United States to make these things that are now invisible. These are all things that one would have seen in 2015 had they entered the palace before ISIS destroyed it. The empty spaces here, accompanied simply by the captions and the provenance information, these empty spaces indicate the actual slabs, the reliefs that were taken by the excavators and sold to Western museums. And so anything that's not here is actually located somewhere else in a collection. But everything that actually is here is material that's been reduced to rubble in 2015. So with these empty spaces is the story of the way in which the site was disappeared, the first time. And it kind of mirrors, the displacement and the kind of dispossession of so many of these communities that have existed in places like Mosul, whether it's the Assyrians or the Yazidis that have actually had to go elsewhere. So it's like a palimpsest of different moments of removal. There can be recuperation. There can be moments of restitution. I won't ever say that a project is a project that heals, but I leave open the possibility that art can always do that.